We all know that after we sow and wait for the grass to sprout, it's very important to keep the lawn under observation during the first month after germination. Well, today I'm going to tell you what needs to be done, what problems may arise and how to solve them, as well as the essential operations for the harmonious development of the lawn up until after the first solid fertilization. The first thing is watering the lawn after germination, and it's very important to keep the substrate moist and gradually reduce the frequency. So, as we approach the first mowing, we should water every 2 days, but more abundantly. Local overseeding, or in case of various problems caused by heavy rains, animals, etc. It is very important to intervene as quickly as possible so that the newly sown seeds do not have a significant growth difference compared to the lawn that is already establishing itself. What should we do if the grass still grows unevenly and we are approaching the first mowing with some areas well developed and others underdeveloped? Well, you can use a very simple and effective method, namely to apply foliar fertilizer only to the problematic areas in order to make up for the height difference. For the dosage, use the minimum amount specified on the packaging. What should we do when we are approaching the first mowing? Well, the very first thing you need to do is sharpen the mower blade. When it comes to the first mowing, this really depends on personal preference. For example, since I want to keep my lawn at 3.5 to 4.5 centimeters, I mowed it when it was about 7 to 8 centimeters tall. Don't panic, nothing bad will happen if, during the first mowing, you cut off more than 50% of the grass blade's height. What matters is that afterwards you mow frequently, but never remove more than a third of the grass blade's length at a time. And because there are still blades that are growing and you probably haven't mowed them during the first or second cut, I always recommend irrigating the lawn after the initial mowings, because you will be removing some of the leaf mass and the blades that are still growing will be more exposed to the sun, so they will need moisture to continue developing. And if we've just mowed for the first time, you might say, let's apply the granular fertilizer. Well, I don't recommend doing it after the first mowing. It's better to wait until after the second, or ideally after the third mowing, so the grass blades are stronger. What's important is that after 3 mowings, you can apply the seasonal fertilizer. After application, I recommend irrigating with about 5 to 10 liters per square meter, so that the process of nutrient release begins and the lawn can start benefiting from them. And now let's move on to the real problems the lawn faces during this period, namely weeds. You may encounter broadleaf or narrowleaf weeds, but don't worry because most of them can be dealt with later. For broadleaf weeds, I recommend herbicides such as Dicopur Top, and for narrowleaf weeds, Foxtrot 69. Of course, if you don't have too many weeds, you can pull them out by hand. When should we apply these herbicides? After solid fertilization, that's when I recommend applying herbicides. Start with the herbicide for broadleaf weeds and then 1 to 2 weeks later use the herbicide for narrowleaf weeds. The lawn needs to be fortified before we treat it with selective herbicides. I do not recommend combining them because there is a high risk of phytotoxicity in the lawn and you risk damaging it. Because we have been irrigating frequently, the substrate has remained moist and the earthworms come to the surface due to the water droplets, so we will have earthworm castings. You can later remove these either with a rake or a jet of water, which is what I recommend. And last but not least, let's not forget about the diseases that can appear during this period. One of which is Pythium, damping off, especially when you sow during the warm season. That's why I recommend applying Previco Energy when the lawn is about 4 or 5 centimeters tall, to prevent this disease. In theory, this application should protect your lawn for the next period of time. These are pretty much the most important things and operations to do, at least in the first month after the lawn germinates. So it's very important to take action as soon as you notice the first signs. If you enjoyed this material, hit the like button. Please subscribe to stay fully up to date with all the fantastic content I'll be regularly posting here. You will find various helpful tutorials to assist you in creating the absolutely perfect lawn of your dreams,